This is JJ Humphrey, and we're back on OCP. Hey guys, I apologize for being a little bit late. I was asked to go over and speak at Lake Murray today to a big group and had plenty of time to get there, get back. But who knew? I guess Memorial Day traffic, I didn't think about it. But man, if you don't need to get on 69 highway going through Durant to Atoka, I would advise don't do that. I clipped on there about Caddo, and man, who knew that I'm from Atoka, and you never think that you would have a traffic jam in Atoka, Oklahoma, but we did, and so we're running just about 15 minutes late, so we want to apologize to that. Hey, I want to start with the statement that a good friend gave me. A good friend sent this. It says, a lot of problems stay unresolved at work. Let me say that again. A lot of problems stay unresolved at work, not because no one sees them, but because employees know the company will see those speaking up as an issue instead of the actual addressing the real problem. Did y'all get that? That a lot of our employees know what's wrong. And when they stand up and they say what's wrong, they're seen as a problem. They're not seen. That's from an administration. Again, what you always want to do, whether it's in your life, whether it's in your finances, whether it's in your work, whatever, family, you always want to identify problems. I used to have a boss that would always say, don't bring me a problem unless you bring me a solution, because it shows that you hadn't thought about the problem long enough. And so, again, if you don't have a solution, you hadn't thought about the problem. So don't just be a person who brings problems, but be a person who brings solutions with the problems. But guys, we got to be able to identify the problem, and we got to be able to speak up and tell the truth. And you have an administration where when you do that, everybody fears retaliation. Now, I go out and talk to people all over the state. Corrections is what I'm really known for. People all over the state, anytime they see me, two things I'm known for: Bigfoot and corrections. Okay. And so people talk to me about corrections all the time. I meet correctional officers or other state employees, correctional employees coming out of convenience stores, restaurants. Man, they always want to talk to me about what's going on. And everybody agrees that this is an environment that you can't say anything. Everybody is worried about being fired. If you do any little thing, that you would be fired. It's quite funny. The administration can do things that would have gotten people fired 10 times over. But if you do one little thing, right now, one of the big issues that I'm getting numerous complaints on is that people are, OIG is going out. I'm here in Hinton, some other places. They're going out and they're raiding the employees, and they're catching employees maybe with the pocket knife in their pocket or with phones on. Now, inmates can have shanks and inmates can have phones. And I'm not okay an employee. If you got a rule that says you don't take a knife in, okay, I kind of see that. But are we going to file charges? You going to file charges on an employee for having a pocket knife? I mean, it's sorry as hell when you do that. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about. When you treat your employees in that kind of manner, having a pocket knife, carrying something like that in, carrying a phone in. Again, I understand safety hazards, but hey, Director, how about you carrying a gun into OSP? You gonna fire a guy and go charge somebody for having that? Why don't I go back and talk to some people and prove that you carried a gun into the lockdown, death penalty, OSP, carried a gun on you? Know you did, Director. Hey, listen. And again, I ain't nobody, I didn't ever push that. I've never made, in fact, I waited a long time to even make a big deal of that, because guess what? I'm not like you, Director. I don't do that kind of stuff. We try to give you an opportunity and a chance. We knew you didn't know anything. We knew you didn't know no better than to take that gun in there. So we give you the benefit of the doubt. We're trying to work with you. We wanted you to succeed. We kept our mouth shut. Now I'm not okay in violating the rules. I'm saying you can write somebody up, you can suspend them. But guys, when you have no help, when you're down 50% on your employees, is that really something you want to do? Is fire everybody for carrying a knife in? Is that really something you want to do? Is file charges so that the rest of the people who work with that person and who really like that person ain't got no use for you? That's what's going on. That's the kind of environment you're working in. That's the kind of environment that's being reported to me. You know what? With all the problems, I mean, we're having investigations, and I'm trying to start stuff on locking people up in 2x2 cells, covering up rape. Director, covering up rape is criminal. Locking people in 2x2 cells is criminal, and you're responsible for that. And yet you're gonna go after somebody because they got a pocket knife in their pocket. I got a pocket knife all the time in my pocket. I can tell you that we used to carry them all the time down there in the penitentiary all the time. And again, I understand if you need to write somebody up, if you need to get a handle on that, if that's getting out of control, all right. But really, I mean, with all the things going on in corrections, that's really where you're going to spend your time, busting people down and getting rid of the employees that you need. Because number one thing you got that is a huge, huge problem, number one thing, everybody that works in there knows this. Everybody that's been around corrections knows this. You have a staffing problem. Your number one problem is staffing problem. You've had 3 years to address it. You've done a terrible, terrible job. You have left, you're in worse shape than what you were when you came in. You had that. When you came in, you told me and Bobby Cleveland that you believed what we were saying was right, that you need to decrease your administration and you needed to increase boots on the ground, correctional officers, other staffing, case managers, those kind of people. And guess what? You've done right the opposite. Not only have you not increased your staff, I believe you've lowered your staff. Not only have you not decreased your administration, but you got rid of the people who actually knew what they were doing. And again, I mean, you've left the people you've left. Now there's one or two of them I like, but now for the most part, wow, you have zero experience, and the people you put around you have zero experience. And look at the salary increase, look at the administration increase. You have done completely the opposite of what you said you would do, completely the opposite what you needed to do. And that's why you're in the disastrous position that you are. And now you've succeeded. Now, again, I didn't think you never would succeed. I put on the prophecy hat. I've been prophesying since somewhere around January, February, that what you were going to do is keep your mouth shut, go right up to the edge of this contract, and then jump up and say, we got nothing else we can do. That's exactly what you did. And I told legislators, guess what? You're going to get pulled. This is coming. They're going to lay waste to you. Guess what? They pulled a shenanigan on you, and y'all going to be sitting back going, we ain't going to pay for this. Yeah, you're going to pay for it, because what choice have you had? And guess what? They're going to pay for it. You didn't have to be a prophet, because the director put them in a non-negotiable. The director put them in a place where, hey, guess what? They had to buy it. Now, I said, if he forces y'all to buy this, y'all ought to fire him. Now, here's what's going to be funny. I wouldn't doubt that the governor is going to get it put to him. They'd like him fired. I'd love to see that publicly. I would just love them to come out publicly. I already know they're talking about it in private. Harp, they're talking about it in private, trying to fire your butt, okay? Everybody over there agrees you need fired. You need fired. There's no question. Anybody that has a half a brain can look at the job you're doing and know that you need fired, okay? Now, that is not going to happen because you have your one ace in the hole, and that's Governor Stitt. I can't for the life of me figure out what you, I mean, you got a friend in Stitt, that's all I can say, because, boy, even if I was your friend, I'd have come over and said, you ain't my friend by putting me in a position you're putting, resign your position. Do me and you both a favor, resign. Let me see if I can't find somewhere else to help you get, but it sure don't need to be here. You know what I'm saying? But he's not going to do that until it gets really bad. And let me tell you what's going to really get really bad is when you have, I believe we're in a perpetual state of riot right now. Your prisons are controlled by your inmates. Prisons are controlled by inmates. That's what I believe. Okay. And so here's the deal. I used to say you're going to have a riot. You'd had a riot by now. But what I'm saying right now is you're having a riot every day. You're having violence every day. You're having staff assaulted. They're not doing anything with the assaults on staff. You're not seeing anything to do with violence. What you're seeing is them cover up violence. Guys, you work in the penitentiary. Are you hearing what's happening at another penitentiary? Not only have they stopped giving information to the public, and again, I have newspapers calling me, how do we get this information? They won't give me this information. You know, you have to file a public records request. Even when you file it, they're hard to get stuff from. These people don't care about the law. They don't care about the rules when it applies to them. Now, if you violate, guess what? They're going to write you up in New York minute. Carry your pocket knife in here. I'll carry a gun, and oh, my bad. But you carry, and I'll carry a gun into OSP down there around Death Row. My bad. Didn't know. No problem. No harm. No foul. You carry a knife in. Oh, get a rope. Get a rope. Let's hang this sucker. We need to fire him. We need to go down and file criminal charges. The OIG, golly, guys, do y'all not have, I know you ain't investigating the murders like you need to be. I'm fixing to prove that. I'll guarantee you I'm going to prove that. And here you won't investigate murders properly, but you'll go down there and jack somebody up with a knife. Man, stand up and say, this ain't right. Just stand up and say, this ain't right. You know what I mean? Get some backbone, okay? Time we get some backbone around this place. And again, it's time we start calling out, like I said, it's time that we start calling them out. We're not the troublemakers. We're not the troublemakers. Now, everybody wants to tag me a troublemaking. Guess what? It's not troublemaking to say what's true. Director, did you carry a gun? Honestly, did you carry a gun into OSP? And any person that would carry a gun into OSP, shoot his own floor, and then try to lie and cover it up. Not follow any policy about how he's supposed to carry a gun or what happens when you have an accidental discharge. Guess what? We've never seen any policy of that, never seen any records. You won't give any records. That's public record. But guess what? You can do all that. You can leave your shotgun in the back seat while inmates clean the seat or clean the car. All of those are horrendously serious, employment violations. But yet here comes a guy with the pocket knife. Oh yeah, let's get him. Let's get him. Boy, you want to talk about a hypocrite. You want to talk about a hypocrite. That's the kind of stuff that just goes all over me. That's the kind of person that just, wow, where is your character? Where is your leadership? You have none. You have none. None of each. You know what I mean? That right there, when you do people that way, when you set up here